after an off day yesterday on Thursday, and after a huge series win at home against the Chicago Cubs, a very good team, a very, very good and hot offense. The Phillies are back at it at Citizens Bank Park starting today on Friday for a 3-game series against the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm excited about it because I am going to the game tomorrow afternoon on Saturday, so that should be a good time. Always a good time to spend a day down there at the bank. So they did lose 2 of 3 to the Blue Jays a couple weeks ago in the beginning of June, but now hopefully coming off that huge series win against the Cubs, they're riding momentum and they're back to their winning ways when they were winning all those ball games just a few short weeks ago. So hopefully, obviously, we're hoping for a better outcome this time against the Blue Jays starting today, Friday night. Welcome into Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Hennelly. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content. One of the biggest storylines surrounding the Phillies right now is obviously superstar first baseman Bryce Harper. He missed about a week when he got hit in that right elbow by a 95-mile-per-hour fastball by the Atlanta Braves starter Spencer Strider. Then he came back for a couple games, and then he landed on the 10-day injured list with right wrist inflammation that he said has been bothering him and lingering for a while now and affecting his ability to swing and produce on offense. Obviously, the Phillies are a very good team when Bryce Harper is in the lineup. He's one of the best players in all of Major League Baseball, and other opposing pitchers have to fear him when he is in the Phillies lineup. But there really hasn't been many reports, many status updates on Bryce Harper as he progresses back from this right wrist inflammation. Really no timeline for return either. It's kind of odd because usually, especially with a player of his caliber and his importance to a team, there's going to be a lot of questions about when he'll return, about his progression with his injury. Just really haven't heard much since he's been on the injured list. Now, he is eligible to return after the weekend when the Phillies start a series against the Miami Marlins starting on Monday, I believe, or Tuesday. He'll be eligible to return. Who knows if he's on track to? Like I said, I really haven't seen many updates about Bryce Harper and when he's going to return, if he's going to be back, when he's eligible on June 16th, or if he's going to miss some more extended time. It would be concerning if he does miss some more time. Obviously, Alec Bohm was filling in at first base there for a few games. He's the Phillies' third baseman, but he can play first base. He's done it before. Then, last game, he went back to third base. Otto Kemp, the rookie that they called up with Bryce Harper out, he was playing third base. Now he's getting reps at first base. Does that mean that they're expecting Bryce Harper to miss a little bit more extra time by doing that flip-flop to get Alec Bohm back at his natural position? Or does it mean they just want Alec Bohm to get back into the groove of things because Bryce Harper is coming back after the weekend? I don't know. Like I said, there really hasn't been many updates regarding Bryce Harper. They're a much better team with him on the field, a much better team, much better offense with him in the lineup, with his threat of just anything he can do with the bat, home run, double, anything really. He is just that kind of guy that brings the energy and brings the production and brings the fear to the opposing teams, opposing managers, opposing pitchers. Hopefully Bryce Harper gets healthy and gets back as soon as possible to help this Phillies team continue to win ball games and get back to where they were just a few weeks ago, winning and winning and winning and winning. Now, somebody that could have helped them been winning a lot more ball games than they have, especially with this recent losing skid that they have been on before the Cubs series when they just won 2-1, Carlos Estevez. If you remember, the Phillies acquired Carlos Estevez at last year's trade deadline from the Los Angeles Angels. He is a hard-throwing, late-inning, high-leverage, right-handed reliever. He was pretty good with the Angels, pretty good with the Phillies in his short stint. Obviously, he had a little bit of a blow-up in the playoffs that he'll be remembered by from Phillies fans. But the Phillies decided to move on from Carlos Estevez during the offseason. He went on to sign a 2-year, $22 million contract with the Kansas City Royals, which is looking like an absolute steal right now. And it's looking like an absolute failed decision by Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies front office by letting Carlos Estevez walk, because obviously the Phillies bullpen has had their fair share of struggles all season long so far in 2025, and it really hasn't been fixed at all. They've had some good stretches, but way more bad stretches than good. They're in the market for not only really one high leverage reliever, but probably even two as this July 31st trade deadline approaches this year. Carlos Estevez could have solved their problems really if they would have just re-signed him. $11 million a year is really not bad for a guy, especially a guy of his track record and a guy who is having a tremendous career year really in 2025 with the Kansas City Royals. He had a 2.57 ERA with 6 saves and 8 opportunities last year in 21 innings with the Phillies after they acquired him at the trade deadline. And now, so far in 2025, he has a 1.88 ERA with the Royals. A sub-2 ERA is always impressive by any pitcher at the major league level. So 1.88 ERA for Carlos Estevez in 2025. And he's got 19 saves in 22 opportunities with the Royals. He has allowed 0 home runs all year to this point. So he's really just been a dominant late inning reliever, a closer for the Kansas City Royals, one of the best in all of Major League Baseball. He's on track to be an all-star really in 2025. So the Phillies have to be feeling regretful for letting Carlos Estevez walk in free agency and not signing him to a new contract. He could have helped them out big time in 2025 with this struggling bullpen, especially in the back end, with guys like Jordan Romano struggling here and there, Matt Strahm not pitching as good as he was last year during his All-Star season in 2024, Orion Kirkring having some hiccups along the way, and obviously Jose Alvarado still suspended for those 80 games, and he won't be around for the playoffs either. Just looks like a failed and missed opportunity by the Phillies not bringing Carlos Estevez back. Now on the flip side, the Phillies will be major players in the bullpen situation, the bullpen market, as the July 31st trade deadline approaches in about a month and a half. And they're not the only team. There's always teams looking for late inning bullpen help, really just bullpen help in general, especially teams obviously that are trying to compete for the playoffs, trying to compete for a World Series. Every team can always use bullpen help. It's one of the areas of a team that can always be upgraded, and you never know what you're really going to get from a bullpen on any given day, really. So the Phillies are going to be in for quite the bidding war with a lot of these top teams in Major League Baseball, one of them being their division rival in the NL East, the New York Mets, who are in first place, who are the top team in the National League so far in 2025. They're both looking for late inning, high leverage bullpen arms. So obviously very similar guys that they will be looking at, scouting, and trying to acquire at the trade deadline. The Phillies currently sit 5.5 games back of first place in the NL East to the New York Mets. They're 2 of the top 5 teams in the National League in 2025 so far. Like I said, the Mets obviously are the top team right now in the National League. And it's really, really going to be a very annoying situation as they are going to be looking at similar relievers, and it's going to turn into a bidding war at some point. If the Phillies really want a guy and the Mets really want a guy, it's just, who has the best prospects, who has the best package to be able to acquire to give to one of these teams that are trying to sell these bullpen arms at the deadline. Hopefully the Phillies come away with the better deal, with the better players, because they'll need it to be able to compete for the division title against the New York Mets as we approach playoff season. It's really going to come down to those 2 teams unless one of these other teams get hot, but neither of the other 3 NL East teams have a winning record or really even close to a 500 record. So it's probably going to come down to the Mets and the Phillies in the NL East, and obviously one of the wild card spots in the National League, with one of those teams not being able to win the division. Hopefully, like I said, the Phillies don't miss out on a guy because the Mets swoop in and take them right from them. That will be very annoying. And one of those guys that both teams are surely going to be looking at as we approach the trade deadline is Baltimore Orioles right-handed pitcher Felix Bautista. Now, Bautista is a 29-year-old. He's going to be turning 30 within the next couple of days. So far in 2025, on a very disappointing Baltimore Orioles team, Bautista has a 3.32 ERA with 28 strikeouts in 21 and 2/3 innings. He's a late inning, high leverage reliever, like I said, a hard thrower. He's got 12 saves and 13 opportunities as the Orioles closer. So he's had success in that late inning, high leverage role for the Orioles. 21 of his 22 appearances in 2025 have come in the 9th inning. So obviously that is pretty much his role. He's made one appearance in the 8th inning where he went 2/3 of an inning. In that appearance, allowed 2 hits, 1 walk, and 2 runs. He's got a 2.57 ERA in the 9th inning. Like I said, a 3.32 ERA overall in 2025, which was bumped up because of that 8th inning appearance that he allowed those 2 runs in 2/3 of that inning. He mostly throws a sinker and a split finger. He mixes in a slider, and he rarely uses a cutter, but he does have that in his repertoire. His sinker reaches the upper 90s, close to 100 miles an hour. So obviously he is a hard thrower. He's got 2 years of club control left. He won't be a free agent until 2028. So there's that for a team looking to acquire Felix Bautista from the Orioles. They have the club control to keep him around more than just the 2025 season and into the playoffs if they were to make it. Like I said, the Orioles have been a huge disappointment after a very good season last year in 2024. They are last in the AL East. They have a 27-40 record, so 13 games below 500. They are 15 games back of the New York Yankees for first place in the American League East, and they are 8.5 games back of an AL wildcard spot. So unless they get hot, they get on a huge win streak within the next few weeks leading up to the trade deadline. The Baltimore Orioles are definitely going to have a lot of teams calling about their players, and they're probably going to sell some of their players, one of them being Felix Bautista, and the Phillies have to be one of those teams calling the phones at the top of the list, trying to acquire a guy like Bautista. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. Make sure you tune into the game tonight against the Toronto Blue Jays for a 3-game series in South Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park. Hopefully the Phillies continue their winning ways, get a series opening win tonight, get a series win to make it 2 consecutive, going back to that huge series win against the Chicago Cubs. Again, thank you guys for watching. This is Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Hennelly. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content. And as always, go Phils.